Hello everyone, welcome back to a very special video. I'm DTM as always, and we have with us the January 2023 updates and weapon refines. Oh my goodness, this is the first one of the new year, and this was highly anticipated because we have Altina, Leif, Claude, and a bunch of units that people are a huge fan of. So yeah, I can't wait to dive into this. But before we do, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz to help support the channel. Only takes 5 seconds to subscribe, but it truly does help out this channel a lot, and I really do appreciate all the constant support. So let's get into this right away, starting with Legendary Leif. Now, Legendary Leif, when he first released, was very unique in being a Gale Force Cav, and not only that, a Gale Force ranged Cav, which obviously ranged units can't normally get Gale Force, but these days with the increase in tankiness of the units, he has sort of fell off of favor. So let's see what his Refine does to fix that. So the base effect, I believe, remains the same. Effective against flying foes, inflicts speed -5, unit attacks twice. When under player's control, you get a deny follow-up. And yeah, as we can see, this is unchanged from his base. So only the Refine part is new. And the Refine part is as follows. If unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack speed defense res +4 to unit, deals damage equal to 10% of foe's attack, including when dealing damage with special triggered before combat, and neutralizes effects that inflict special cooldown charge -X on unit during combat. So honestly, this is I guess it's okay. In conjunction with this, he came with his remix skill, Neorn Zeal 2. And the difference between this and original Neorn Zeal is that now we have a times pulse effect that grants special cooldown count -1. So in conjunction with S-Drink, Neorn Zeal will now be at a cooldown of 1. And so in conjunction with this tempo effect, as long as he hits only once, even if he one-shots the enemy, he will activate Neorn Zeal no matter what, and get the second action. So this just makes his Gale Forcing a lot more consistent. And also the extra stats and true damage does help with his combat. Unfortunately, I don't think it does enough to be able to make an impact against a lot of the tanky units these days. Like, attack speed defense res +4 is pretty much standard stuff for weapons these days, and the 10% true damage is not that amazing compared to other forms of true damage we've had. Like, even though like attack stats do get pretty high, it's only 10%. So like, to put into perspective, say if your enemy has 70 attack, you really only get 7 true damage. Now granted, this is with a brave weapon, so that does increase the value of true damage, but even still, like with damage reduction, hardy fighter, all those sort of effects, I don't know if Leif will be able to cut it to become a meta Gale Force initiator. The competition he faces is from Linja and Ninjoran, who have, like, Linja obviously has Disarm Trap and Slaying to help proc with like offensive specials. And then Ninjoran obviously also has the true damage and, you know, synergizes really well with Harmonica Zura. And also, because both of those use dual skills instead of Neorn Zeal in the special, they can run, you know, damaging specials to help mitigate some of the lack of damage, or like to get through those tanky units, whereas Leif can't. Now, obviously in exchange, Leif does not rely on a dual skill, so dual hindrances are not an issue for him, but it is still a bit of a concern. And especially considering that you can really only use him in water season. In arena, I do think that he is better in arena than Ether Raids, just due to the fact that, you know, Leif is a legendary, but definitely far from the best water legendary, I would say. So overall, you know, it's okay. I think it's just okay. Anyways, moving on, we have Ragnar Alondite. And this is really interesting because both Altina and Winter Altina will be using this. And so the base effect remains the same. Unit can counterattack regardless of foe's range and inflicts speed -5. Unit attacks twice. That remains the same. So what is different is just in the refine effect, just like Leif. If foe initiates combat or if foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75% at start of combat, grants attack res +5 to unit during combat and special cooldown charge +1 to unit per attack. And neutralizes bonuses on foe's attack defense during combat. So giving extra stats to attack and res is really good because as we can see with her remix, Asher's Chosen, this is now neutralizes effective against flying bonuses if unit is adjacent to only beasts or dragon allies, if unit is not adjacent to any ally, or if foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75% at the start of combat. A lot of conditions. Grants attack defense res +9 to unit during combat, and also if unit's res is greater than foe's res, deals damage equal to 70% of the difference between stats max 7, and reduces damage from attacks during combat by percentage difference between stats times 4 max 40 of res. And so, obviously she did get a lot, but is it enough to salvage Altina? So let's put this all together. Having originally, like, Asher's Chosen is just attack defense +6. So obviously she has gotten a lot more stats now. It's now attack defense res +9, which might sound really good, but keep in mind that this is in the A slot. And A slots, you want to have good stats to begin with. Like, if she would have run attack defense catch, for example, or attack res catch, that already gives attack res +9. So even though, you know, this sounds a lot, like this is basically like what any A skill is doing, it's essentially just giving it to one additional stat, this being defense. And like, defense is nice to be able to survive first hit, but defense isn't as impactful for like Vantage units who obviously just want a Vantage sweep. And also, the special cooldown charge +1 is also really nice because that means that Twin Blades will always get procced even when you're Vantage sweeping, so you don't need to rely on Brave Lucina, Thor, or Na, or any other special cooldown charge +1 effects. Unfortunately, what this means is that guard effects will disrupt that, and at least for like Mythic Altina, there's not really a way to get tempo on a flyer right now, so she will really have to be concerned about those guard effects that will mess up that Twin Blades charging. Which is really unfortunate because I think instead of special cooldown charge +1, I think tempo would have been a lot better because obviously Mythic Altina is an Astra Mythic and Thor exists, so you can just pair Thor with Altina and be totally fine. And like, there's not really any drive tempo really besides Legendary Female Byleth that I know of. And so I think like tempo would have made her a lot more consistent. And also, you notice here that the lull effect does not apply to res here, which is a huge problem because obviously the damage reduction and true damage requires like a higher difference in res. And I don't know why they did that. That just seems super odd to me. Like, you have attack defense res added to the share. Why not just add that to the lull? Like, it makes no sense. And this is also very problematic because Mythic Altina does not get Mythic buffs. So you have to rely on her stats as is. And also, a lot of the meta these days in Astra season or in Animus season is about res stacking, mainly because of Elamine, right? Like, right now, the Anima meta is basically just Catria balls and having Mirabilis and Arvel to boost the res of, say, Catria, and by consequence the other units, in order to counteract Elamine's res check to apply false start. And so, being a Mythic unit that can't get those res buffs to match, that just puts her in a very troublesome spot. Now, she does get like plus 14 res, but like other units can also match that res too, and through like their A and their seals and whatnot, and through like the Mythic buffs and whatnot. And so it's going to be very dicey as a Mythic unit trying to get those attack and res checks. Also, keep in mind that Arvel applies guard. So, like, again, this is where tempo would have been really nice. And there's still, like, not a consistent way for her to get into vantage range. She will need to rely on surviving that first hit, which, again, damage reduction is nice, but it is iffy, again, because of the res stacking that defenses are doing right now. And also, like, most teams are running Cassia Ball, so you have to survive that Brave hit. And so, yeah, that is very dicey as well. In addition, like, even if you get, like, a res buff to her, a lot of the meta nukes these days are running, like, low attack res, low speed res, so that's going to get counteracted. And so, yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm very worried about Altina, basically. Now, don't get me wrong, I definitely think you can make her work, and Winter Altina does have the benefit of being able to run tempo and, you know, have access to those infantry skills that can circumvent that. But still, I do think that when it comes to Mythic Altina, unfortunately, I think she's probably still the worst Astra Mythic. Like, at least Naga gives you dragon effectiveness, which is actually really helpful these days because of all the dragon save armors we've had. But yeah, like, I mean, if you can consistently get Altina into vantage range with, like, you know, Winter Bernie, I think she'll be very strong. But unfortunately, I don't think this really cuts it, unfortunately. So yeah. Very unfortunate. It's just unfortunate that she can't get any res buffs. Like, at least Winter Altina can get res buffs, right? In Astra season, but Mythic Altina can't. Yeah, very unfortunate. Now, next we have Sothis. And Sothis actually did get something different in the base effect. So Sothis has neutralizes effective against dragon bonuses, grants speed +3 at the start of combat if units' HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants all stats +5 to unit, and neutralizes units' penalties during combat. And then the dragon adaptive damage. Now, if you compare that to her original, she still gets, like, attack speed defense res +5. But what is new is that the HP condition is a lot more lenient. You only need to be above 25% HP now, and also the neutralizes units penalties is new, which is actually really good because, like, obviously there's a lot of penalties and debuffs in AR, and being able to neutralize that is just really good. Now, the Refine effect is if foe initiates combat or if foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75% at the start of combat, grants attack speed defense res +4 to unit, neutralizes effects that guarantee foes' follow-up attacks, and reduces damage from foes' first attack by 30% during combat. Now, Winter Sothis, I would say, was, you know, originally already a pretty good speedy armor, and this just, like, makes her a little, like, pretty much, you know, better. Like, speedy armors, I think, is a very underutilized niche, and I think Sothis does this really well, and this Refine does definitely help with that. It is unfortunate that the neutralizing effects that guarantee foes' follow-up attacks sort of is redundant with both Hardy Fighter and Savvy Fighter, which are, like, the two premier fighter skills right now. But it isn't the end of the world. And I think she'll still be, like, a very good speedy near save unit. Now, unfortunately, she does face a lot of competition from the speedy armors we've gotten recently, like Valentine's Lucina and Rearmed Grima, who I think are probably better. And at least when it comes to near save, like, Brave Edelgard is, like, the premier near saver right now. And so Sothis will face a lot of competition against that. And yeah, as a far saver, well, you know, dual Chrom exists, so yeah. So, you know, this is okay. Yeah, I think that's the running theme of this. It's, like, just okay. Unfortunately, what is not okay is Death Knight's Refine. Look how they massacred my boy. Oh no. Alright, he has a slaying. If bonus is active on foe, or if foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75% at the start of combat, grants all stats +4 to unit during combat, and foe cannot make a follow-up attack. So compared to his original, like, it basically just gives another condition. Like, all of this is just if there's a bonus. And so, as you can see, the stat increase is the same. It's just that we have a new condition if foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75%. So, not that great, honestly, because it's not that hard to get a bonus. At the start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants all stats +4 during combat, and unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. So yeah, Omni Breaker, and more stats. Wow. I guess that's a lot. Like, what is this? This is so bad. Like, why wouldn't you use, like, Gerald or something? Like, actually. I don't know why they do this to you. Oh my gosh. I mean, there's not much to say. Like, this is really bad. So yeah, moving on. We have Claude. Now, Claude has a lot of text, so let's see if we can decipher it. So the base effect had a pretty big change. Effective against flying foes, grant speed +3. If bonus is active on unit, or if penalty is active on foe, inflicts attack speed defense res -5 on foe during combat. So this first effect was in his original weapon, but the conditions change. As you can see, originally, the condition of it originally was if the bonuses and penalties are greater than 10, you get that infliction. Now, it's just that if any bonus or penalty is on unit or foe respectively. So that's a lot more lenient condition. But it continues on. If unit initiates combat, reduces damage from foe's first attack during combat by percentage equals to total bonuses on unit and penalties on foe times 3, max 60%. And also, if total bonuses on units and penalties on foe is greater than or equal to 10, neutralizes effects that prevent units' follow-up attacks during combat. So yeah, that old condition is now for the offensive NFU effect, and depending on the amount of bonuses you have and the penalties the foes have, you get damage reduction, maximum 60%. So in order to get max, you only need like 20 total between the bonuses on you and the debuffs on your foe, which is not that hard to get when you look at the refine. At start of turn, if any foe are within 3 columns or 3 rows centered on unit, inflicts defense -7 on those foes through their next actions, and grants attack +6 to unit for 1 turn. So boom, there you get the debuffs. I mean, it's only like 13 total, so not 20. That's the max, but like that's still really good. Like that's like what? Around 40-ish percent damage reduction? Anyways, at start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants attack speed +5 during combat. Grants additional bonus to unit's attack during combat equals to current bonus on unit's attack, and inflicts penalty on foe's defense during combat equals to current penalty on foe's defense. So basically, you get attack speed +5, you get bonus doubler on the unit attack, and you get the Plegian effect on the foe's defense. So altogether, this effectively gives you, what, like 36 total attacking power? Now, do keep in mind that a lot of this is tied with the bonuses you have and the debuffs on the foe, right? Like 13 of it is obviously through the visible buff and stat inflictions from the weapon. And generally you can get those through other methods. Like it's not hard to give your units +6 attack or to inflict defense -7 on the foe, especially in like ARD where, you know, like Yune is super common. And also like in terms of this like bonus doubler and Plegian effect, a lot of the common like ranged tanks these days like pretty much neutralizes those effects. If you think about the common far save armors you would encounter, like Brave Hector and Ascendant Idun are still super popular, and they neutralizes the penalties on themselves. So you will get nothing off of this debuff, and also a lot of them do run Distant Defense 4, which neutralizes your own bonuses. So this attack +6 and this bonus doubler also, unfortunately, like gets neutralizes, which also obviously reduces the amount of damage reduction you get. So when it comes to like using Claude on ARD, which is basically, I'd say, really the mode you would use him in, there are a lot of ifs. Now, obviously, in Light and Dark Season, there is Emblem, so you don't have to worry about saves that much, but I don't think he would add much compared to other ranged nukes that we've had before, like Dual Leaf, like now Harmonic Lind, and Ninjoran, Winter Lysithia, that sort of thing. Now, the damage reduction is very nice to, be able to survive and potentially get danced to catch the opponent off guard. And I do think this is a very good refine. I don't think it's like meta breaking or like super strong by any means though, unfortunately. Like don't get me wrong, this is good, but it's not like meta breaking or super strong or anything like that. But you can definitely use him in something like ARD and generally can make him work. So yeah, pretty decent. Last but certainly not least, we have Sirius with Sable Lance. Accelerate special trigger. If unit initiates combat or is not adjacent to an ally, grants all stats +4 to unit, and basically full NFU. So compare this to his base. Basically, the attack speed defense rest +4 gets a more lenient condition. You no longer have to be just adjacent to an ally. You can now just initiate combat, and obviously you also get full NFU, which is really nice. Now the refine effect is at start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants all stats +X to unit during combat, and X is the number of spaces from start position to end position, +4 max 10, and reduces damage from foes' first attack by 30. So this is pretty decent refine, I would say. It's basically just stats, NFU, and damage reduction, which is obviously really good. Unfortunately, I don't think it's enough to make him like stand out to like other Lance Cavalries we have that, are, I guess, not F2P friendly. The baseline, I would say, is like Brave Erica, and obviously Sirius does not match Brave Erica at all, but I'd say there's he's decent. Unfortunately, he doesn't have Canto, so you have to run like, I guess, Canto, like Near Trace, which I guess is an option, but there's not really a place you would use him, unfortunately, I'd say. So even though this is, like an okay refine, unfortunately, I don't think there will be much use of him. But yeah, overall, those are my thoughts on the refine. Honestly, pretty mediocre batch this time around. Like, I think the standout is Claude, but even then, I don't think Claude is like that amazing or breaking or whatnot. Like, I was hoping for something like Legendary Alm or Yune just to spice things up. But yeah, overall, pretty mediocre refine batch. And if I had to put them on a tier list with like Brave Hector at the top and Effie at the bottom, I'd say Claude is a B. I put like Dual Leaf, Winterlight Scythia, and like those sort of tiers like above him. Not necessarily Brave Hector level, but like in the A position. But still, like Claude, you can definitely make him work on ARD, and he'll definitely be pretty strong there. And on the C, which is like meh, mediocre, we have Altina, Leif, Sothis, and Sirius. Not Sirius. No, it is Sirius. I guess they're okay, but honestly, it's a bit disappointing. I expected more from Altina and Leif. Sothis and Sirius also, they weren't really that groundbreaking either. And yeah, Death Knight is pretty bad. It's not Effie's level, because Effie is so atrocious. Like, I re-looked at Effie's Refine, because I thought like Death Knight would be Effie levels, but no, Effie somehow is even worse. So like, yeah, we have Effie for E, and I guess Death Knight for D, which I guess is thematic. But yeah, that is my overall thoughts on like the rankings of the tier list. Like obviously Brave Hector's S, A. I don't think Claude is A level. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe Claude is A level. Claude is between A and B probably. But for now, I'll just put him in B. Again, once we actually get these refines to test with for a week, we will know for sure. But for now, I'll go with B. So yeah, overall, that is my impressions on the refines. But that is not also what we got. We also got the data mine, and with that, the stats of these units. So overall, we have Lind here, very high attack and speed. This is like ridiculously high. I don't think, does it like break the attack or speed barrier? I don't think it does, but obviously super strong offensive, very weak defenses. So she'll probably go down like a fly if you manage to attack her. Anino, similar stat line. I think this actually does break the speed barrier. Like what, 46? What is that? Not as high attack, but has more defense and resistance, which is really nice. Ursula. Wow, these have really high speed stats. Like what? But Frail, like obviously most of these are going to be very high attack and speed, very low defense, so very offensive stat lines. Same thing with Byleth, although since Byleth's an infantry, you get a bit more bulk. And Soren overall is pretty decent, although not as high of a speed stat as we would like, but obviously super high res stats, which is pretty cool. And I think the inheritable tome on him is also pretty decent as well, and actually pretty good inheritable option as well. So yeah, definitely excited for that. When it comes to like the skill rarities and stuff, one thing to note is that Times Pulse, as we expected, is infantry only, no other restrictions, so just like Times Pulse 3. And of course, we have Remote Sparrow, which is, as we suspected, locked to ranged units besides staff units. Why do IS always gotta shaft the staff units? Like, why? Come on. Give staff units some, like, crumbs, please. They need it. And yeah, a final thing to note is that based on the data mined by Pivotal 13, we're getting some new permanent weekly GHB rotation maps. So that is getting expanded to include Rutger, Har, Fallen Delthea, Cynthia, Konya, Death Knight, Astrum, Conrad, Cormac, Kemp, Trevant, Heath, Flame Emperor, and Iago. So if you like those units and haven't spent all the grails on them yet, this is the time to get some more copies. I wish I'd known that before I invested so heavily in Cynthia, but oh well, at least I got to make that showcase when her Refine was out. And yeah, overall, honestly, a very tame Refine batch, I'd say. Like, this is not like Legendary Alm or Yune. It's honestly sort of a bit disappointing. Like, obviously Claude is good and is like the best out of these, but even he, I don't think is that amazing. Time will tell, but yeah. I wish there was more spice, but I guess IS felt otherwise to start the year. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments what refines you like the most from this batch. And yeah, if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz to help support the channel. It only takes 5 seconds to subscribe, but it truly does help out the channel a lot, and I really do appreciate all the constant support. And yeah, again, let me know what refine is your favorite. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and see you all next time. Bye everyone!